Honorable Bisichong Ahmed Bining, Secretary General Pan-Africa Youth Union, to come up on the stage and address the audience. Give him a huge round of applause. Thank you.
Amandla. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister of Education, Youth, Culture. Minister has a very long ministry, and I'm struggling to wrap my head around the size and scope of her ministry. But Honorable Minister, our host minister, Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports from Fiji, the chairperson of the CYC, ComSec, delegation present, they are our bosses. They've been guiding us for so long a time. NYDs present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's truly a pleasure for me to be here in Windhoek once more and to have the distinguished honor to address this session. This is not an ordinary session for me. I've been following the activities of the Commonwealth for some time now, and I've had an opportunity myself to participate in events of the Commonwealth. But beyond the CYFs, this probably is the first time that the Commonwealth is taking an initiative to convene NYDs and NYCs to have a conversation around the reconfiguration of the CYC. And Honorable Minister, if you will permit me, I may not go into formal speeches, but probably based on my experience with the Commonwealth Youth Council and as Secretary General to the Pan-African Youth Union, having worked closely with the Commonwealth, just to admonish on a couple of things. The Commonwealth, when it was founded in 2013, had a responsibility of not only rallying young people within the Commonwealth, but to become a conduit to amplify the voices of these young people within the Commonwealth itself. 10 years down the line and beyond, the National Youth Councils, some of them seated in this room, do not find themselves properly identifying with the CYC. And the reason is the manner in which it has been configured. Namibia historically has played a role as a reformist state. And for us at the Pan-African Youth Union, we bear witness to that. When the Pan-African Youth Union was founded in 1962, the first country that had the pleasure of hosting it was Algeria. Namibia was one of the countries so many years down the line that deployed our late Mandela Kapere to stay in Algeria to work there. In 2002, when there was a need to reform and reconfigure the Pan-African youth movement into the present-day Pan-African Youth Union, Namibia once again rose to the occasion. It hosted most of the events that led to the reconfiguration and revitalization of the Pan-African youth movement into what we know today as the Pan-African Youth Movement. Along the revitalization of the Pan-African Youth Union was the agenda that birthed the Africa Youth Charter that was later adopted in Banjul in 2006, which became the continental blueprint for youth policy and youth development in Africa. Honorable Minister, why am I giving this historical antecedents? Two reasons. National Youth Councils, as we know them today, became an embodiment of youth representation and amplifying the aspirations of young people. And Minister, Article 12 of the Charter mandated every member state to establish a national coordinating mechanism. That national coordinating mechanism was supposed to be responsible for coordinating all youth activities across member states of the African Union. When the Commonwealth Youth Council was created in 2013 in Sri Lanka, the concept of NYDs were introduced. But those NYDs were not supposed to be in isolation with these national coordinating mechanisms. Because when NYDs come back from the CYF, there should be an implementation mechanism across member states of the Commonwealth. And so, this meeting today should be able to establish the relationship between the NYD concepts and the national coordinating mechanism concepts, which are national youth councils. The second point that I want to mention, I'm glad that the senior colleagues from the Commonwealth Secretariat are here. The CYC cannot be an SPV sitting by itself from the Commonwealth Secretariat, because whilst we have a program unit responsible for young people, the young people themselves within the Commonwealth have their organization, which is the CYC. And so whether you talk about funding the youth program, the CYC must be an integral part of that funding mechanism and the policy implementation mechanism within the Commonwealth. Other than that, we're going to have a situation where there's a CYC that's somewhere doing things by themselves, and they are foreigners to the policy orientation of the ComSec itself in London. And that shouldn't be the case. I'll conclude by making these statements. And Lane, you know this. When I assumed the position of Secretary General of the PYU in 2022, the ComSec became mediators between us and the African Union. Why? Because young people are exuberant actors. And our exuberance sometimes is misinterpreted as misbehavior. But we are supposed to misbehave in a positive way. But because policymakers and senior colleagues do not want competition to their ideas, they find us as rogue elements. We agreed to be rogue elements. Today, I'm pleased to inform the House that we have finalized an MOU with the African Union Commission that will be signed pretty soon. I'm pleased to also inform the House that, radical as it seemed today, when the Pan-African Youth Union convenes, we convene a minimum of 51 member states at every given point in time. There's more confidence in the Pan-African Youth Union. There's more funding from member states to the African Union, to the Pan-African Youth Union. There's more participation. We started our own reform of the Pan-African Youth Union. And I believe that was one of the inspirations for this consultative dialogue, where it was important for the CYC itself to reform and reconfigure itself into a machinery that is capable of driving the aspirations of the young people of the Commonwealth within the broader aspirations of governments and the Secretariat. And therefore, I want to encourage everyone in this room that you seize this opportunity, bring your sense of ingenuity to bear on the reform of the Commonwealth. And for the senior colleagues that came from London, do not see this reform process as an attempt to compete with ComSec. No. You are supposed to guide the process. You are supposed to provide that technical assistance to these young people to be able to drive and manage their organizations. And Honorable Minister, before I take my seat, ComSec and the ministers in the room must support and entrench these national coordinating mechanisms in the member states. We started the development of the National Youth Council toolkit with the Commonwealth Secretariat. I'm not sure where it is, but it must be embedded in this entire reform process so that we have national youth councils that are potent and capable enough to drive multilateral processes at member state level. On this basis, I thank you for your kind attention, and may God bless us all. Thank you.